Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 15 of What If Naruto was personally trained by Kurama after leaving the village. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto failed his Genin exam and was given intense training on this channel, and enjoy that guys. And over Anime King 2, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto was put through hell and adopted by the Raikage, so go ahead and enjoy that guys. And also over Anime King 3, I post a new episode of What If Naruto had cosmic energy, so go ahead and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what is we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, as Naruto was still at Kumo training, as he came back with Fu at the house, he then remembered a memory, as Yujito was affected by the Nebe, to the point where once a month she went crazy with hormones. Yes, as B had told him about it, as he remembered that day, he was sure if Teiwaya had saw that, she would have tried to kill him and Yujito as well. As B told him that the Akatsuki is looping in, his brother had told him. So it was time for them to leave, but they could come back. As while everything was sorted out, they could come back. As he appreciated the Raikage for letting them stay this long. As Yujito was really gonna miss Fu. The girl had become her little protege, and she enjoyed having her here, but now they have to go. So with that, all of them met up at the gate, as they said goodbye to everyone, and Naruto and Fu made their way off towards the land of sea. As they arrived at the land of waves. Arriving out there, they had saw how the economy had changed, while Naruto, because he saw how broken the place was when Gato was in charge. But all of that had changed, as Gaara was the one that killed Gato after all, when the team had been assigned here as well. But everything was better now, as Fu had wandered off, as she was taken by a genjutsu. It was a trap, as Naruto was so worried about her, he not even focused about his surroundings, as he was knocked out. He wake up in a cavern, as some man was there as they checked the bingo book, searched if he had any price in his head. Seeing that he did not, they throw him overboard, as Naruto was drowned until he was saved by one of the forces of Meiterumi's entourage. As Naruto had a seal in his hand, he was brought there, as she told him that they couldn't help him with that. But Naruto said that that was fine, he could do it himself, all he needed was chakra. As he did get it, and Mei was surprised that he managed to get it off. She heard his last name as she asked him if he knew Kushina Uzumaki, as Naruto said no, he was an orphan, as he really didn't know who this Kushina Uzumaki was. As Naruto helped all the others remove the seal on them, as she asked for his help. If the camp was going to go anywhere because he had destroyed the other camps, she knew the place that they were going to be taken and his friend might be there. It was a hunch, but his friend might be there. She told Naruto she would personally accompany him. Naruto was shocked by that. After all, she was the leader here if she were to leave, but she told him someone else would take her place, as she wanted to go to the camp and finally destroy it, because if they did, they would gain back a lot of support from the other bloodline users that had been sealed away. Fu had escaped with the others, as she did the same thing her big brother would do, as she beat the decoy and made the others escape. As a man was there named Ao, as he said that he was one of the personal guards of Meiterumi, as he was bringing them to somewhere where he think they might get the seals removed from them. They could not treat, hop or anything because they couldn't use their chakra. As Fu was flying in the air though, and making sure to keep an eye out for the others, stopping every once in a while because she could not manifestate the wings for so long, as she was going to keep them all safe. She was going to be the hero until she found her big brother, as she was sure that he could get the seal off of them, as she was just hoping that he was okay. So yeah guys, was basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So this will be this new episode. Naruto came to a stop as he landed on a branch. Crouching down, he had to physically avert his eyes when he noticed how her impressive bus bounced up and down when they jumped from tree branch to tree branch. She had caught him looking, but she said nothing as it seemed like she took it as a compliment. She wasn't sure if that made her vain or needy, but she didn't really care. In her opinion, Naruto looked like the type that would grow into an attractive young man. And getting that kind of unspoken compliment made her feel young. Plus, he was being somewhat of a gentleman by trying not to look, so she could give him a pass. They stopped because they came to the edge of a large clearing. At the center, there was a large compound. It was surrounded all sides by a chain-link fence, no doubt reinforced by chocolate to prevent it from being crushed. This was a spot that May told him about. It made his stomach turn just by looking at it. It was formed of a few low buildings at the outer side of the compound, and on the other side had cages. A lot of cages that were pressed upon one another. Currently, Naruto was dressed in a dark blue flap jacket with the camouflage pants of Kirishinobi's. He might have been mistaken for one if it wasn't for his headband and his bright blonde hair that was not really common here. He focused as he made quick work at scouting out. There was a large group of guards, most likely Chunins and Jonins, as they were continuously scouting the outer wall. Some of them even had ninja dogs, and that would make it impossible to sneak up on a camp easily. But Naruto was a genius in some ways, because he saw the glaring weakness in the camp defense. May-sama, if you would allow me, I believe I can disable the guards quickly enough and allow you entrance into the compound. May looked at him. He had already proven that he was rather impressive in Fuinjutsu, an art that some man found impossible to grasp. But even so, he was still 15. Even she found this place slightly intimidating, and he could get in rather easy. "What are you planning?" she asked. Naruto simply smirked, as it seemed like he wouldn't tell. "You'll see," he said. With that, he unsealed 3 kunais in each hand. As May gasped as she saw the design, she was about to comment, but Naruto threw the weapons over the trajectory of the wall, not where the guards were, as he quickly formed a hand sign and whispered, "Multi-shadow kunai jutsu," he said. The 6 thrown weapons turned into 60 as each of them landed, stabbing into part over the base. May was still stunned. Was he really about to? He was gone. Just like that, he was gone. May heard one of the dogs whine as it found one of the kunai, and the kunai didn't have any scent whatsoever. That whine turned into a high-pitched sound as named dog and master was now on the floor. May might have been around the time of the 4th Hokage, but she never saw his technique in use. Only stone ninjas and a few Kumo ninjas did. Now she understand the white was so feared, as Naruto blinked around the camp, killing anyone that didn't have a suppression seal. It only took a couple of minutes. Bodies littered the ground everywhere, as he had to. Even the dogs were killed as well. He had to do it. He had killed before, but that was a couple of bandits. He had never killed on this scale. His first mission was kill a couple of bandits. Other than that, he killed people, missing names, other bandits, but never on this scale before. His bodies were everywhere. His kunais were dripping with blood. He was exhausted though at using his technique on this scale, teleporting so many times. He made his way towards the gate and opened it from the inside. As May arrived a bit hesitantly, as she saw him looking at his bloody hands, she walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Naruto, you did what you had to," she said. He slowly nodded. At least he hadn't gone into shock. That meant it wasn't his first kill. May had her first kill at a rather young age. She was raised in the times of war after all, but it still broke her heart seeing the innocence like Naruto, that innocent light leaving her eyes as he came to realize the world fully. He slowly got up to his feet as his features morphed back into his determination mask. As he made his way towards the cage, they were all locked, as May released a mist from her mouth. Naruto watched his lock melt away. As Naruto wondered what the hell was that, she repeated the procedure until all of them were freed, as at least 100 shinobis stood in front of them. A few seemed to recognize May and was thanking her for rescuing them, but most of them were staring at Naruto as they saw the Flash had just been taking out the guards one after another. A mix of thanks and awe and respect was sending Naruto away. He felt a bit uncomfortable, never receiving this kind of praise before. But Naruto wasn't focused on that anymore, as he was calling out to Fu, trying to find her if he was amongst the crowd, as he looked for the green hair anywhere. May looked at his hopeful, frantic calling with a sad look on her face. Casualty always happening in war. "Alright people, stop standing around and gawking. We need to get you out of here quickly." "That might not be the best idea," said Naruto. "We only managed to reach here by tree hopping and by moving rather quickly. If we were to go back now with this amount of number, we would definitely be caught by the patrols, unless someone take them out." Because if even one of them got away, we could be swarmed by Kiri troops. You're right, but we also can't stay here. For all we know, they have messengers coming by every now and often to check up on the prisoners. We don't have enough time for it to remove all of these people's seals. So what do you suggest? She asks. I may not be able to do all of them right now, but I can do enough so we'll have a small squad, said Naruto. That way, if we come across any patrols, we'll have a better chance of getting rid of them. Mei nodded. For someone so young, he was already showing incredible knowledge. Alright people, change of plans. I need those of you who have a special tracking or scouting ability. Also, the ones with powerful Keki Genkai, to step forward. And Naruto here is going to remove that seal. We don't have time for all of you, but Naruto's going to get that done once we get back to the base. A few people came forward and Naruto made short work of the seal, as he had plenty of practice back at Mei's base. Now, they had a ice wielder from the Yuki clan, a steel release user, and someone in that strange dojutsu that made their eye glow red, and another one with a storm release. The one with the red eyes took point as he could see through objects just like the Byakugan, as he would warn them of incoming patrols. The steel release user dropped down in their midst and used himself as a lightning rod, as the storm release user used it and light up everyone. The Yuki member Naruto and Mei took out the others that tried to get away, as the Yuki member said that his name was Iki, as Naruto remember Haku from the wave. But Iki was far more advanced, it seems. He could compose ice around an enemy by using the environment around them and then shatter it with a flicker of his wrist. Naruto could see why they were so feared, as a squad of ice users could decimate an army of shinobis. To make it even worse, if they were near a body of water, Iki was using the moisture in the air. That is why he was able to trap his enemy in ice so quickly, as there was a lot of moisture after all. They were in the land of water. With this team dynamic, they made it back in a short period of time, with no one left to tell Yagura what happened. The rebels were shocked as they saw a small army of bloodline users march through their hallways. They were followed by a happy Mei, but Naruto was downcast as he did not find Fu, and he didn't know where she was. Something whipped past as it slammed right into Naruto, tackling him to the ground as he was squeezed tightly. Big brother! As Naruto was on his back, he blinked. He was staring into sparkling orange eyes. Fu? She quickly wrapped her arms around his neck, hugging him tight. It was like he didn't believe it was real as his hand slowly came around and hugged her back, hoping that she wouldn't just vanish, hoping that this wasn't a mirage of thinking or something like that. As they separated, as her clothes was a bit ragged, and there was two large gashes in her back. Her clothes, not her skin. That told her that she used her wings. But she was here. Fu. But how? So Fu told Naruto everything, how she was captured, and how she made him escape by using her two signature abilities. In all, Naruto was extremely proud. She had grown up a lot in the last year, but until now he didn't realize how much, as he could now see the strong, intelligent young woman that she was becoming, and he felt so happy. She finally allowed him to get off the floor, when they heard Mei cough from where she was, as she was standing next to Iki. By now, Ayo had rushed into the room, having chased a curious Fu through the compound, and he was now looking at me. Ayo, I thought you were on a mission with Shishachi. I'm sorry, Mei-sama, but Shishachi betrayed me and handed me over to the opposing forces. In fact, if it wasn't for that young girl, I would still be under their control, and no doubt be in one of the slave camps by now. As Mei raised her eyebrow and she looked towards Fu. Where did everyone come from? He asked. Well, me and Naruto made our way to the largest slave camp, but now there is no one there. He understood her words. He then glanced towards the boy. Could this boy be so much help? As Fu kept on going on with her brother. So, this was Naruto, huh? Is that right? He said. Naruto just nodded. Well then, you have our thanks. With so many bloodline users free, we will surely have the advantage over future attacks and conflicts. Fu, follow Naruto. What happened? Where did you go? She asked. Well, Mei-sama told me that you might be in the slave camp, so we went out there to rescue you, said Naruto. You came for me, she said. Even if you didn't know I was there for sure? With all of the enemies, she said. Of course. I would never let anything bad happen to you, as long as I live, he said. The girl had tears in her eyes, as she just loved her big brother so much. If I may ask, how was it that a 15-year-old boy was able to infiltrate a high guarded facility and rescue over 100 bloodline users without a single casualty? As Naruto glanced back at the man, he unsealed one of his kunai and swinged it by the ring around his finger. You know, shinobis have their secrets. Ayo narrowed his eyes at the kunai. No, that couldn't be possible. As he looked at the three prompt kunai, He then looked at Naruto's face, then back at the weapon, and then back at Naruto. He didn't say anything, but he looked towards Mei with a questioning look. Mei simply sighed as she shrugged. Anyway, let's do something about that sealer on your arm. It must be getting annoyed by now, said Naruto. Time skip. I understand, said Mei, as they had to leave. But still, I thank you for all that you've done, she said. Both of you, as she smiled towards them. And no, when we win this war, you two will be always welcome in Kiri. Come by sometime to see us, she said, as both Naruto and Fu nodded. It has been a week they spent there, as Naruto was able to remove all the seals from all the rebel members, and Fu made some friends, most notable, a boy called Kotaro, who was around her age. One thing though, the boy lacked confidence. Yes, really badly, as they waved goodbye to the rebel forces who thanked them repeatedly over and over. After that, the passageway was sealed up. So where are we going now, big brother? You know, Fu, I think I decided to stop planning these things. It never works out anyway, said Naruto. Time skip. The single guard stationed outside the sand gate just kept a single eye out on the desert horizon. After all, the place was hot, and people didn't just come passing by. Given that the village was out in basically nowhere, there wasn't anyone scheduled to come today. That is why he looked so bored. He then noticed two silhouettes coming towards the village. He had to check himself because sometimes the heat brought on mirages. Even for someone who lived here for a long time, the heat can surely be quite intense most time. Yes, to most people. As he peered closer, trying to get anything, both figures were cloaked, one taller than the other. The tallest one had blonde hair sticking out of the hood. He alerted a few close by envoys as he used the mirror as the sunlight from the reflection. As his sight turned back to the two approaching people. Hey, Mani. As the poor Chunin jumped. Naruto? Mani was confused. Mani knew Naruto when he was younger, as he was assigned to catch him after he pulled his pranks. Back then, the boy had been a young kid, a talented ninja, but still a young kid of 12. Now the changes were shocking. He had shot up in height. He looked to be about 5'10" right now. His normal shaggy hair had grown out into thin, long spikes going down into his neck, it seems, and his bang came down his face. Well, at least you recognize me. When we went back to Kumo, Yuchito nearly had a fit, said Naruto. He chuckled, as did his smaller companion as Mani looked towards a person. She must be about 13 or 14 with shoulder-length mint, green hair. That is spiky like her friend Naruto, it seems, but not quite, as her skin was tan. Very tan, and she had orange eyes. Not as much as the Raikage though. Both Naruto and Fu laughed as they remembered the Raikage reaction when Naruto had stepped back in the office after so long. As Mani wondered what the hell they were talking about. Naruto? Hey Mani, long time no see, said Naruto. The gate guard just nodded, still taken a bit aback by his surprisingly change. Yeah, 2 years, said Naruto with a smile. I hope things haven't been too quiet without me around, said Naruto. Mani simply laughed, realizing this was the same old Naruto. Well, not with Matsu around. That's for sure, said Mani. As Naruto looked at him strangely. Don't worry, said Mani. You will see when you report to the Kazekage. Awesome. I wonder how much Gaara has changed. Mani smiled politely as he gave him the appropriate form to fill out. As Fu looked around, her first sight seen the hidden sand village. Naruto told her it was an impressive sight. But having been to Kiri and Kumo, she didn't thought he could measure up. But she was wrong. She looked just as awe as Naruto when he was first walking through the crowded streets. As Naruto just had that smile on his face. As he really missed this place. He really missed his home. As they made quick movements through the streets. Many of them looked at Naruto as they tried to figure out where they saw the tall blonde before. But then they took a closer look at the headband. And took account of his face. As their eyes widened in realization, remembering who he was. As the ones that didn't recognize Naruto turned towards Fu. Turning 13, she started to fill out her clothes in a way that most guys notice. As recently, Naruto started to play the role of a protective big brother, much to Fu's ire and appreciation. As they quickly made their way towards the Kazekage's tower. As the receptionist was shocked when she saw him, as she buzzed him into Gaara's office. Naruto thought about making a grand entrance, but in the end he just walked inside with Fu. But to his surprise, he saw two people that he missed so much. Two, not one. Looks like I beat you home, shithead. Naruto was across the room in seconds as he tackled Teiwaya with a big hug. As Teiwaya found herself on the ground, looking up at those blue eyes that filled her with so many familiarity. As it made the past 2 years just melt away so quickly, as she really missed him. Well, this just made me feel left out. As Naruto craned his head to turn at Gaara, as he stood up sheepishly. as he helped Teiwaya up. He took the time to look at her, and he couldn't have been more surprised. Teiwaya had filled out in all the ways that would make a normal man drool. Very much. Including Naruto. Her hair had grown longer and reaching down to her back. And that bang was in the middle of her forehead, as she was wearing a red, sleeveless shirt that was cut right at her stomach. She had a fishnet shirt under that. She was wearing a tight red skirt that went to her mid-thigh, and black spandex under that, standard black shinobi sandals, and black fingerless gloves with metal plate on the back. By now, Naruto took off his cloak and Teiwaya was eyeing him up in the same way. His whisker marks had grown more pronounced with age as they matched his more angular face. His eyes still sparkled with the same youth that they left him with, but he had a hardened edge of someone who saw a lot. Longer black shinobi pants with brown sandals on his feet, a plain orange shirt that was reinforced with seals, and he was wearing a red coat with black flames licking the bottom of it. As if the both of them had to say something about one another right now, it would be a word, and that word would be hot. Sorry, it's great to see you, Gar. I hope being Kazekage hadn't been too strenuous. The stoic San used a smirk. He too had changed over the years. Like Naruto, his face had gained a more angular quality, and his hair contained thinner spikes. The black marking around his eyes had also thinned down a bit. Naruto wasn't sure if that was because of growing age, or the growing relationship between him and Shikaku. I have found ways to keep it bearable, Gaara said. They all heard that chuckle come from the corner of the room. As Naruto turned his head, is that all I am, a means of stemming off boredom? Naruto watched as the young woman walked over to Gaara, placing her arms around his waist, and resting her chin on his shoulder as she was behind him. She had shoulder-length brown hair, and warm, dark eyes, dark t-shirt that matched her skirt, and dark tights that passed her knees. Her headband was wrapped around her neck, and she wore 2 arm guards. Of course not, that is just a plus. Naruto raised the eyebrow at Gaara, taking part in a bit of banter. It seems like it was his appearance that only changed. Naruto, this is Matsuri, my fiancé. If Naruto was drinking something, he was sure that the liquid would have been spat across the room. Instead, his eyes just opened wide. That made Matsuri giggle, and Gaara chuckled deeply, as Naruto remembered her from the year below them in the academy, but he never had any interaction with her. It's nice to meet you, Matsuri. She giggled again and Teiwaya smirked. I know, right? I was shocked as well. Who thought that Gaara had it in him? As Naruto simply nodded dumbly, as Gaara turned his head so no one could see his blush on his face. Yes, well, know that the pleasantries are over. I believe that Naruto has someone for us to meet. 4 sets of eyes turned around to look at Fu, who had been hiding behind Naruto till now. Despite being around him for so long, she was still incredibly shy when it came to meeting new people, especially when one of those persons was a Kazekage, and another one was her brother's girlfriend. Everyone, this is Fu, the Jinchuriki of the Seven Tails, Komi. As Fu waved, as all of them simply smiled at her, as a bit of attention from her body released. Fu, the smoking hot redhead there, is Teiwaya. As she looked over the girl before nodding her head, as Teiwaya had a proud smile on her face. And the other redhead over there is the Kazekage, Gaara. It's good to meet you, Fu. In all of Naruto letters, he had only spoken highly of his other sister. Fu wasn't sure what to say when being addressed by someone. Like the Kazekage, it was the same with the Raikage, but she was younger then. It's alright, Fu. There's no need to feel intimidated. Naruto has been my friend for over half of my life now. Matsuri giggled. Yeah, no reason to feel intimidated except that you control sand and we're in the middle of the desert. Gaara just looked at Matsuri with a tired smile. Was that really necessary, Matsuri? No, That's so cool! How do you control the sand? Do you have a bloodline? How much can you control? What can you make it do? Can you lift the desert? Gaara just chuckled awkwardly, as he was seeing a younger Naruto when he was looking at Fu now. It seems like a lot had rubbed off on the girl. As Naruto stepped towards Teiwaya. So, long time no see, he said. She stepped towards him rather quickly, as she kissed him, as it only shocked Naruto for about 2 seconds before he grabbed her waist. And the both of them started to kiss right there in the office, as everyone in the office was blushing as they turned their head away. The both of them panted as they separated. After all, they needed her. Wow, the both of them said. Ah yes, reunion aside, Teiwaya, as Art delivered her report, would you mind telling me what you accomplished on your mission? Oh, I think it would be better if I just show you, said Naruto. Plus, I want to make sure Teiwaya-chan has really been training, he said. As the suffix just came out for him calling her Chan, but she showed no irritation. Fine with me, she said. I miss being able to beat on you for 2 years. As Naruto simply smiled at that. Time skip, as they were both standing on the training field. Gaara, Matsuri, and Fu were over to the side. Usually by now Naruto would have charged in. He was already quick with coming up with plan on the fly. But it seems like he had grown and learned a lot. Yes, a lot of patience with years, as he did not attack straight away. So, Taewai-chan, how much do you want me to hold back? She scowled, before she smirked, a lot of confidence in her stance. Oh, I wouldn't hold back if I were you. In a second, she had her flute out, as she brought it up to her lips. To end this quickly like she did in the past. But to her surprise, Naruto grabbed the flute out of her hand, as he was just over to the other side of the training field, and he already reached over here. You knew that you shouldn't rely on your flute so much, Taewai-chan. She was shocked how fast he moved. She hadn't even seen him use a seal. That couldn't be natural speed, right? That just wasn't physically possible. The only person she heard of that reached that kind of speed was Raikage in his lightning armor, and yet Naruto wasn't producing lightning or showing any kind of blue aura. She drived her hand in the ground as he had to leap away. The entire ground erupted, spikes flying after him. As Naruto flipped and he appeared by her side, she lashed out with a swift kick, but Naruto ducked right underneath it. As he returned, a lightning fast jab of his own. She tried to block, but his hand snaked right under her palm, and his feet then turned. The next thing she knew, she was being flipped, as he kicked away her feet before landing her right on her back. He smiled down at her, but he watched as she smiled as well, as Naruto started to see stars and slump off her body as he dropped to the ground. What, Taewai said as she got up looking down at him. You like it, she said. You have those sound ninjas to thank. With vibration, you can do anything at the right frequency, she said. And she punched him right in the stomach, but he poofed away. But it wasn't only a clone, as a force exploded out of it that sent her sailing back as she was thrown in mid-air before she crashed right on the ground. She winced as she landed on her arm a bit hard, as she quickly scanned around, trying to find the real Naruto. Not seeing him, her hand got lit up in a green cloak as she placed it over her arm as she mended. Wow, medical ninjutsu, that's fun. And cool as well. As she spun around, as Naruto moved back, he was there looking over her shoulder and she didn't even notice. She lashed out with her foot as he calmly caught it and threw her back away. She flipped and landed, activating a seal on her wrist. There was a poof as she grabbed a large metal bow staff, as Naruto did what he normally did, using his speed to counter anything. But lightning started crackling the bow staff as it sparkled, forcing him to shield his eyes as he was slapped right across the face as he slammed right into a tree and break through it. Lightning chakra infused in the staff to increase the speed and the hitting power. Taewai simply nodded as Naruto's jaw snapped back into place. That hurt. As he picked himself up, he had a smile on his face as he looked towards his girlfriend. Good thing you're not the only one lighting affinity. As he brought his hands together as he focused on the light affinity, as its electricity started to bubble inside, coming out into his fingers in electric shocks. But instead of releasing it, he made it go back into his muscles, reversing and coiling around his system. He then released wind chakra into his tenketsu points as he smirked towards her. Swift release. Naruto vanished. The dirt wasn't even kicked up to show that he had moved. It just looked like he blurred out of existence. The next moment, Taewai felt 3 hard blows knocked her back before she was knocked right into mid-air. No one could even see a blur. Taewai just looked like she was being knocked up into mid-air. All the spectators minus Fu was confused. What technique is Naruto using? As Gar turned to Fu. As Fu had a smile on her face. It is called Swift Release. It is used by combining his lightning and wind affinity. He forced lightning chakra into his muscles like the Raikage, but not enough to give him the aura. Then he forced wind chakra out of his point to propel him in the direction that he needed to go. I've never seen him use it so early in a fight before. Taewai must be pretty good. Gara nodded as he received a abridged version of her training, and he had to admit she was pretty good. As Taewai finally dropped down to the ground, a few broken bones and bruises. As Naruto stopped panting a bit. It wasn't that he was tired, it was hard to breathe while moving that fast. But Taewai picked herself up as green chakra was already healing her body. This must be how his opponents feel when the Kyuubi chakra healed his body. He had to admit it was pretty annoying. That was a nice move, Naruto. But now it's my turn, she said as she bit her thumb. She flashed through hand signs. Summoning jutsu. There was a white cloud that pooped from her hand. It was large, swallowing half of a training field. When he cleared away, there was an army of falcons. as they were all flapping their wings. Sound cage! As the falcons flew over to Naruto and surrounded him in a perfect circle, as they all opened their beaks and cry out right beside Naruto, a frequency that he could hear. As Naruto grabbed his ears, Teiwaya smirked, as he had rather sensitive hearing. This will be over in 3, 2... But to her surprise, he got to his feet. He wasn't even holding on to his ears anymore. She got a bit worried, wondering if she just deafed him or something. But he pointed towards his ears with a smirk. Chakra earplugs, they're designed to activate at a certain volume. But I can activate them myself so I don't get deaf by your jutsu. She frowned as she rushed in, her bow staff already crackling with lightning. Sound of pain as she brought the staff around so fast. The lightning created a screeching sound as she came. Naruto dodged the strike and launched out with one of his own hits, but his hand phased right through her shoulder. But she brought the staff around and slapped him right in the leg, showing that it wasn't a clone. As he got shocked, as he felt his limb going numb for a second there. She slapped him 3 times out of his staff before he regained control as she shook his leg and leaped away. He was lucky that he was used to having powerful electric sparks running through his body like that, or he'll be on the ground right now, shaking in spasm. Teiwaya didn't let up though as she came at him relentlessly. Her staff ripped through air molecules as she spun it. She twirled it as she whipped through the air. Finally, she let up as Kurama healed last of the damage in Naruto's leg. Damn shithead, you got pretty fast while you were away. No one has been able to dodge me for so long, she said. But sir, I'm going to finish this up now. Pain in stereo, she said. As she held up her hand, a clone came beside her as both of them swung their staff before moving towards him. As she and the clone attacked him vigorously, using the staff as they hit it across each other, creating sparks everywhere to mess with his vision so they could hit him. But Naruto ducked and sweep and dodged. As it passed his hair, he could feel it. It was getting too close. He activated Swift Release as the world around him slowed down. He could see the streak of lightning and the breath that each of the Teiwayas took as he just leaped over her staff. To him, it was like it was being swung by a child before he punched her right in the gut. Her body had tried to vibrate out of harm's way, but it didn't work. Naruto was just too fast. The next second, she was across the field as she poofed away. That was a clone. As the real Teiwaya came down their staff, as Naruto looked up, the lightning coming down towards him, but he simply shifted out of the way in Swift Release, making him move at incredible speed. The next thing she knew, he was standing right next to her. Damn it, shithead, just stay still already, she said. It wouldn't be a good spar if I did that, said Naruto, as he slammed his hand down on the staff with lightning coursing through it. As he knocked it out of her hand, he watched as she quickly pulled out another flute. After all, having backups is a good thing. As Naruto activated his earplugs, but she smirked as she played it. All the falcons that she had summoned, that Naruto seemed to have forgotten about, came down at him from above, as they attacked him beaks, trying to pierce down on him, ripping his clothes apart. As he started to spin and attack, as he dispelled one after another, sending them back to the summoning realm. When they were all gone, Teiwaya burst out of the smoke as she had her bow staff in hand. But Naruto was just too fast. He leaped away as her bow staff destroyed the ground. As Naruto landed, they were now back in the same spot they were when it just started, but now everything around them was destroyed. Naruto held out his hand as a Rasengan form. He lowered the density quite a bit, so if it hit, it wouldn't actually hurt her to that point. Come on, shithead, you know, I'm not gonna let you get even close to me with that thing. Then it's a good thing I learned how to do this. He twisted as he threw it. She couldn't even move fast of a dodge as it slammed right in her stomach, as she saw a blue thread. Chakra thread that was connected to the Rasengan that connected Naruto's palm. The Rasengan then imploded as it blew her backwards. She crashed right on the ground. When the smoke cleared, she was back on her feet, even though her legs were shaking. Come on, shithead, it's gonna take more than that to bring me down, she said. She then saw Naruto tug on the blue chakra thread that he was holding on. She then noticed seals all around her as they lit up, trapping her in a barrier. What were you saying, Teiwaya-chan? She crossed her arms under her chest as she pouted. Not fear, shithead. I guess I win, said Naruto with a smile. Time skip. It was surprising to Naruto how things returned quickly back to normal. It was just like before they had left. Well, he couldn't keep his eyes off Teiwaya, as he just can't stop looking at her. She has become just so incredible. He noticed similar look from the guys in the street, so he held their hand. Yes, as everyone saw. If she noticed, she didn't say anything, but a small smile came on her lip as they were making their way back to the Kazuyaka mansion from a training ground. talking about various things that happened. It seems that the peace treaty between the San Kumo, and by extension Konoha, had gone down smoothly. Gaara would send for advice from A, who was happy to help out a young Kage, as he remembered when he was first given the position when his father had died. Due to the nature of Teiwaya's mission, her stories couldn't really be considered funny, but she told the time when she screwed the Akatsuki over without them even knowing. She had found out a lot in the past 2 years, actually meeting with Sasori and some of the other few members sometime. She now had the perfect list of the members, including the wannabe Toby, as well as their targets, as she informed Naruto that he had dropped off their radar almost a year ago, and Itachi and Kisame were assigned to Fu. It made him feel good that he outsmarted the Akatsuki, even though he didn't realize at the time. He started to worry about Yujito when Teiwai told him about the so-called immortals of the Akatsuki, Hidan and Kaksu, going after her. However, having the descriptions were good, as he could plan properly for each encounter. Already, the gods in his mind were turning, preparing him, readying for those fights. What bothered him though was the leader of the Akatsuki, the man that none of them had met. They had only seen him by proxy through the body lantern technique. By the time they got back to the Kasakage mansion, it was already getting dark. They walked through the hallways as Teiwai and Naruto smiled, remembering their lives here. As Fu looked around at the luxury, Gaara wasn't set for most things like that, so he just let Matsuri deal with them. I trust you to remember where your rooms were, said Gaara, as he emphasized the word rooms, because Teiwai never really had a room of her own, because she always sneak out and go into Naruto's room. But she smiled. I think I'll just stay with Naruto, she said, as she grabbed his hand and started to pull him away, as Fu looked towards Matsuri and Gaara, before she ran after her brother. Oh, Fu, said Naruto, I guess you can have Teiwai's old room, if she doesn't mind. Teiwai looked around. Oh, that's alright, I guess. I guess we haven't had a chance to talk properly yet. Fu smiled as she held out a hand. I'm Fu Uzumaki, she said. Teiwai chuckled. Well, she's definitely been traveling with you for 2 years, she said. Fu pouted a bit, not sure whether to take that as a compliment or not. Why do you call brother shithead? Aren't you his girlfriend? Teiwai simply chuckled nervously, with the hand on the back of her head. It seems I've been around Naruto for that long time back then. She picked up a few traits from him. Well, it's complicated, but he knows I'm only joking, as Naruto nodded from behind Teiwai's back. So if big brother love you, can I call you big sister? She asked, as Naruto's eyes widened a bit as Teiwai stopped. Teiwai was a bit shocked. She had barely met this girl and she was already treating her like family. Well, I guess. Fu simply smiled before she rushed off the room, over to the other side, seeing that she saw where they were already going. So she guessed this was the one. As Naruto placed a hand on Teiwai's shoulder, are you alright? As she turned towards him, he saw her eyes looking glassy. Are you about to cry? He asked. What? Hell no. I don't cry, so shut the hell up, she said, as she made her way in the room, as Naruto followed. Shutting the door behind him, he sat down in the bed with her. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Fu really meant you to know. She's one of the nicest person I ever met, said Naruto. Before me, there wasn't anyone that she could trust. But now she wants precious people, and I can't help but give it to her, said Naruto. Teiwai nodded. I miss you, Teiwai-chan, said Naruto. She looked up as she kissed him. She broke apart. I missed you too. Know that her attention was back on him. A devious smile came on her lips that Naruto recognized all too well. So how did you like those photos I sent you anyway, she asked. Well, they're not as good as the real thing. Teiwai blushed as she cursed, as she was the one always riling him up, but he got so good at getting under her skin now. As she turned back around, only for Naruto to kiss her right on the lips, making the both of them fall on the bed. As Teiwai leaned into the contact, not caring about anything else, as the both of them got lost in their little world, until they heard a squeak. They didn't even notice, as they saw Fu there, her eyes sparkling as she watched them. The both of them turned towards her. The girl squeaked as she ran away, as she didn't mean to come in on that. She never knew that they were doing that. Teiwai started to laugh. It's not funny, said Naruto. What if we were doing something else? Oh? And what else we might have been doing, she asked. She kissed him before breaking apart with a giggle. Well, I'm glad that I can still manipulate you, she said with a smile. Hey, you tricked me. Of course I did, she said. Well, two can play that game, as he pinned her arms down to the bed and started to kiss her. She was going to lose as she kissed back furiously, as everything started to get so hot. Naruto got up as she looked disappointed, but he locked the door and placed a privacy seal up. He couldn't get to finish a sentence. She grabbed him and threw him back down towards the bed. This time she sat on him, as things started to get even more wild, as Naruto's mind went towards the little orange book that he read. Time to put all of that reading into action, he thought to himself. As they got down to it, clothes were removed rather quickly, and things were getting worse heavy until an explosion shook the entire place. The both of them weren't so lost to ignore that explosion. As the both of them snapped their eyes towards a window, Teiwai quickly jumped out of bed, including Naruto, as they saw a white bird. A large white bird. Her eyes went wide. Deidara. As Naruto quickly fixed himself up and threw on his cloak, Teiwai, stay here. If he sees you, your cover in the Akatsuki will be blown. She couldn't do anything but agree. And Naruto clenched his fist tight. That asshole just ruined his reunion. As Naruto rushed right through the hallway, quickly making his way outside. As he saw Gaara battling Deidara, sand flying up in the air, stopping massive explosions. He had to find a way to get up there to help him. But this was an aerial battle, and he had no way of flying. Well, that wasn't true. As Naruto pulled out his kunai and threw it. Before flashing towards it, he then threw it up again. As he flashed towards it, he threw it right towards Gaara. A sand platform was created in a second. As Gaara had felt him coming, as Naruto landed on it, Gaara, how are you doing, he said. He's proving difficult to strike and contain, due to his bird, said Gaara. Get rid of the bird, gotcha. Give me a boost, said Naruto. As Gaara's sand launched Naruto. Deidara simply moved out of the way as Naruto fly past him, but he felt something impact into the bird. The next moment he knew Naruto reappeared on the bird. How the hell did you get up here, said Deidara. Naruto wasted no time as he smashed his fist into the man's face. But to Naruto's surprise, his hand passed right through the man's face. Because it was made up of clay. As Naruto pulled a kunai from his pocket and threw it. He flashed towards it, but he wasn't far enough away as the explosion blew. It threw him right out of mid-air, but he dropped on a blanket of sand as Gaara pulled Naruto over to where he was. Well, I got rid of the bird. Gaara pointed down towards the streets. You got rid of a bird, said Gaara, as Deidara was on another bird, flying through the streets. As Naruto scowled, how much clay does that guy has? He doesn't have as much as my sand, said Gaara. As the sand started to increase upon Deidara, who turned into a side street. But the entrance was blocked by nothing but spikes that were made from sand. Deidara aligned the bird and swerved into mid-air, where Naruto dropped right off the sand platform. Deidara turned the bird in a second as Naruto's hand brushed the wing. Deidara simply looked down, before focused on back what he was doing, as Naruto teleported towards a mark that he placed on the bird. He brought his foot around. Deidara turned as he felt something behind him. Bang! Naruto's feet connected into his face. This time he struck lucky as Deidara was sent launching off his own bird. The man cursed while he was sent sailing away, but he brought his hand up in a one seal. Maybe this will get you to appreciate my art. Naruto already knew what was coming as he jumped away. Guts! The explosion didn't really harm him because Gaara's sand came from a platform as he stood on. As Deidara was now on another bird. Okay, this is getting really annoying, said Naruto. Deidara started to swing wildly, so Naruto couldn't grab him or place whatever he does on him to get up here. As Naruto glanced up at him, he wished he had wings like Fu at this moment. He held out his hand as a Rasengan form. A rather large Rasengan that was about half of himself, as he attached the chakra threads. As the Rasengan started to spin violently as he gripped the chakra threads, he then started to spin on the sand platform as he spin and spin and spin until he was nothing but a rotated blue gig. Rasengan mates, he said as he launched it. Deidara turned, but the Rasengan was too fast as it shredded the bird wing. Deidara simply pushed more clay back into the bird, but he seemed like he forgot the deadly fall behind him. He thought that it was just gonna fly away, but no. As Naruto grabbed the chakra threads, and the Rasengan exploded behind Deidara that completely swallowed the man. Naruto panted the control that he took to have that Rasengan lock. It took a bit out of him, but he heard a laughter behind him. God damn it, said Naruto, where are you getting all this clay? Deidara simply watched him, as he was now on another bird, but the artist never revealed his secrets, as his hand was already moving in his pouch, molding the clay together. I will admit your art a moment ago was a bit impressive, but it just doesn't have the flair. Not at all that mine has, said Deidara with a smirk. As Naruto did not know what this guy was talking about. What does art have to do with this? But he didn't get a chance to ask as a dozen birds, made from clay, was released from the man's palm. Naruto cursed, using his teleportation seal, not to mention that Rasengan and having vast control over it. It took a lot out of him. He didn't have enough time to move as the birds came sailing towards him, as he hoped that Gara would bring up a wall of sand to blot them. Something did blot them though, but it wasn't what he expected, as he saw the mint green hair fall from the sky after the explosion went off, and he was perfectly fine. Someone had stepped in his path. His eyes widened. Fool, he screamed. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. And remember, if you're new, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying, talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.